Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to my channel. Welcome to a bit of a different type of content. So today we'll be exploring how to read your past lives in your natal chart for the sake of giving examples and just like having a chart in front of myself instead of thinking on top of my head. I generated a random natal chart on astro.com, and this is where you want to go and put your information, put extended chart selection, click the natal chart wheel, but this is a default setting. You put your birthday, your time of birth, your place of birth, and then you can click to add the true and descending nodes, a list of asteroids that you want to look at as well. Um, but you don't need the asteroids, or at least you would need Chiron for sure. I will create a worksheet, like a PDF file that all of you can download so you know what you're doing. So don't worry, this will be explained in the PDF. You generate this natal chart of yours and let's get into it. I don't want to waste any more time. So, how do I approach a natal chart? I have a little formula about how the signs, the planets, and the houses, the three most fundamental and basic elements that build up your chart, operate together. How do they blend? So, of course, there are certain exceptions at times, but the more intuitive you become with a chart, whether it's yours or just with astrology in general, the more easily you're going to blend the qualities of a placement. However, at the beginning, it's nice to have this simplistic formula. So I think of the planets as the actions we take. So, for example, the moon, I feel I need. Mercury, I think I um I explore, I get curious about. With Pluto, I transform. With Jupiter, I expand. I receive blessings. Just turn the qualities you know about the planet. Jupiter, for example, expansion, blessings, traveling, culture. Turn those into verbs, into actions that you can take. Um, because if you think about it, the planets are characters that move, and the movement indicates that the celestial bodies show the actions we take. Now, the sign the planet is in shows you how you take that action. So, with the moon, here we have it in Virgo, how do you feel your feelings and your emotions? How do you um, connect with your instincts? How do you nurture yourself? How do you mother yourself? Through Virgo, taking care of your health, organizing, cleaning, bathing, even, purifying, doing a detox. This is Virgo energy, so this is how you do the moon stuff and the moon actions. With Venus, how do you love? Venus here is in Leo in this natal chart I randomly generated. So I love through dramatic self-expression, Leo. um, I love through, I don't know, painting myself as someone confident. I exert confidence. I love through showering my partner with compliments, and I want to be showered with compliments. This is how you take the Venusian action in the sign of Leo. So the signs show you how the planet does its thing. Now, the house, as you might have guessed, shows you where the planet does its thing. So, for example, here we have Moon in the 11th, um, in Virgo. Now, we you see how we build up, we blend it. So first, look at the Moon in the 11th and then apply the sign. The Moon in the 11th, I feel emotionally nurtured when I spend time with my community, with my friends. Virgo. Virgo is about service. So, for example, how you nurture yourself is by taking care of your health, by organizing, how you would um The moon in the 11th, this means that you also nurture yourself through spending time with people and when you nurture them. And how do you do it? Again, Virgo energy. You do it through helping them finish a task, helping them organize. You help them be more practical and sufficient. You like Virgo in the 11th, the moon in Virgo in the 11th. This is someone who is very invested in some sort of community. They want to serve a global cause or a community. So yeah, this is how you take the moon action, and that makes this person emotionally fulfilled. Now, if that was the placement of Mars, this gives the person energy. This motivates them. These sorts of events and actions. But with the moon, the person does it not because they have the motivation and the energy to do it, Mars, or not because they have deep understanding um, with Mars that creates this motivation to be a Virgo in the 11th house. When it's the moon, it's emotions. Okay, so when it's the moon, the type of actions we take are based on feelings. So that is just a quick, formula to use. And as I said, you can build upon it and it's gonna become much more fluid. It doesn't have to be rigid. It's just nice to use at the beginning of interpreting your natal chart for those of you who haven't worked on that. But I believe many of you have worked on this already. But still, with past lives, we're going to look into some other details that I think some of you may know, others may not. Now, so now that we have this formula in mind and we know what the planets are, what the houses would represent, and what the signs are and how they all blend, how do we approach a natal chart with the intention to dig into our past lives? Again, we do look at the planets and we do see if we have many retrograde planets or not. Why retrograde planets are important and especially indicative of karma from past lives? Well, it is really within the label we use. They're retrograde, they go back in time, they retrace certain routes, certain pathways, certain behaviors and patterns and all of these things, they go backward, right? They are revisiting those. So when you revisit something, it must be coming from the past. You've already done something, but now you have to do it again, try a different method. So with retrograde planets, I also have a metaphor for this. I have this way of viewing them, why they are important and how they are important. Imagine a marathon, and the marathon runners, they have a trajectory and they have, a route they follow to reach the final destination of the marathon. Or to come full circle, which is exactly what happens on the wheel. The planets move through the circle, sorry, this way around, and then they come full circle eventually on their evolution. So imagine these marathon runners, they start off and they go off the distance, and suddenly you have like one or two or three or even more than them going backwards, and everyone who is cheering the runners are like, what? And suddenly you pay attention to those runners who are going backwards because why, wait, did we miss something? Why are they going backwards? Did they lose something along the way? Did they drop a phone or their keys or what happened? And you follow them and you become much more aware of the route they passed by before. It's almost like they start to point to you different things that you didn't notice because you were so caught up in the motion of evolution or the motion of that progression that you did not necessarily see certain details, you didn't catch certain things. And now these runners are going backwards and your eyes follow them. They're very capturing. They are really captivating. They really captivate your attention. And that's what happens with the retrograde planets in the natal chart as well. We should pay extra attention to them because the soul, your higher self, is trying to make it extra clear that this is an area in life you should work on. Because the last time you were going off so fast and so quickly, um, you need to revisit. Another metaphor that you can use with the marathon would be, those who were ahead of everyone else because they were rushing it, but they got tired. And at some point, they slowed down because actually, retrograde planets are not truly going backwards, they just appear this way because all other planets are kind of surpassing them. So at some point, it seems like they're going backwards, but they're not. So you can even think of it, these are the four runners who they were so fast and they were forcing themselves that now they are tired and everyone is surpassing them and they seem left behind and then they seem as if they're going backwards. So they're not, but they look this way. And you notice them and you're like, you were out of balance and look at you now behind everyone else. So with retrograde planets, this shows where we didn't do enough or we did too much or we didn't learn a lesson many times and now your soul is like, notice me. The planet is like, notice me. Look at me. I'm doing something different than everybody else so that you'll pay attention to what I'm doing and where I'm at. So you look at your retrograde planets. How do you find them? Again, these things will be explained in the PDF, but still, for the sake of this video, you go with this little table, the list with planetary positions, and you're looking for a little R um, behind certain planets. Some people don't have any retrograde planets, other people have many. And being one way or the other does not make you better or worse, or more evolved or less evolved. So you look at that R, right? Right behind the planet. So yeah, here we have retrograde Mercury, retrograde Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. And one asteroid, Juno, but of course if you don't calculate the asteroids, we're not gonna look at them. Um, Now, why did I say that having more, less, or none retrograde planets in your chart does not define your evolution? Because certain people believe that retrograde planets, if you're repeating lessons, if you don't have any, it means that, you know, you've learned your lessons, you're evolving. But imagine, what if this person just started a new cycle and they're pretty much a newbie? So it's very difficult to estimate whether they're repeating a lesson or not because they're just starting with the lessons. So you cannot put them to the test yet. You cannot really test what they've learned. And in that case, they're a newbie kind of with certain teams in life, so they're not necessarily a master, and that would not be the reason why they don't have any retrograde planets. In fact, other astrologers believe that the retrograde planets are lessons that you are much more likely to learn and master in this lifetime, and you have a closer relationship with them. Why? Because just as I explained with the metaphor, they're like, notice me, I am doing something different. I am standing out from everyone else in your chart so that you see me. Okay, I generated a pretty random but interesting natal chart for someone here. I don't know, just random data that I put in. And now we have four retrograde planets: Mercury, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. So you start off with the first one, of course, for example, Mercury. You look where Mercury is located. So yeah, now that you define the planets, you look where they are located. Um, And I think the house is more important than the sign. The sign applies later. So you look at the house. So Mercury is in the 11th house, a retrograde. This person may struggle to express themselves through public speaking or sharing information with a lot of people, because Mercury is retrograde. Maybe um, you look what the 11th house represents. The 11th house can represent older siblings. Maybe this person is not talking to their older sibling, or they have a very weird communication with their older sibling. What else? Mercury in the 11th. This person may struggle with higher education, or because the 11th house is Aquarian house. It's an air house. So we talk about education here, science, curiosity. The 11th house is about achievements, goals and dreams, friend groups. So yeah, this person has a hard time deciding upon their friend group, upon their dreams and goals. They may be very easily um, influenced by other people because Mercury is a bit weak. However, being retrograde, Mercury usually rules Gemini and Virgo. So Mercury is happy in the 11th house, but just being retrograde does something to it. Then you look this at the sign. It's in the sign of Virgo. So perhaps this person is disliked because of how direct they are. So that's what may cause issues in communication. Now, when you look at the planet in the house, you get certain interpretations, but then when you overlay it with the sign, you get the reasons why things are the way they are, and meanings can change a little bit. You see, for example, Mercury in the 11th, okay, very communicative person, but retrograde, there are some issues. Why? Where is it coming from? Virgo, direct, judgy behavior, or this person thinks that they know best, not because they're a know-it-all. They may be, but it's because they want to help. They want to help people reach their highest potential and highest perfection um, in the 11th house. So they themselves may be very quirky because this person has a lot of things in the 11th house. But with Virgo, they judge other people's quirky nature. So this is why they may struggle with communication. Now, how do we apply this to a past life? With Virgo here, maybe in a past life, this person had to take care of an older sibling, or they had to take care of a community. Maybe they were some sort of social worker, and they didn't get to express their own feelings, perhaps. They always had to be mature and there for other people. So now it is difficult to communicate their own needs and feelings because the moon is also here, the sun is here in the 11th. This person had a lot of friends in past lives, but perhaps those friendships lacked depth. Now, when you see Mercury in the house and the sign, when you see the planet in the house and the sign, you look at the degrees and you calculate the decan of the planet. Why is this important? This will show you the other planet in the natal chart being the ruler of this planet. So how does this work? You take, so the wheel, you split it in 12 and you get 30 degrees for each sign. You split each sign in 3 again because each sign pertains to an element: water, fire, earth, air. And you split it in 3 because there are 3 signs of each element, and you get 10 degrees, decans. Each decan of a sign is, each sign has 3 decans, and each decan is 10 degrees. So the first 10 degrees of Virgo start with Virgo itself. And then from then on, this is the first 10 degrees. Then from 10 to 20 degrees, or from 11 to 20 degrees, you have the next earth sign. You have Virgo, and Virgo is followed by Capricorn. So from 11 to 20 degrees Virgo, you have Capricorn. From 21 to 30 degrees Virgo, you have the next Earth sign, Taurus. And you look at the sign and you look at the ruling planet of the sign. So here we have Mercury, 29 degrees Virgo. This is the third decan of Virgo. So this is Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus. So this is Taurus, a Taurus decan. What is the planet ruling Taurus? It's Venus. So when I look at this retrograde Mercury in the 11th, I'm looking for Venus because Venus is the ruler of Mercury, which shows me that Mercury already indicates siblings. The 11th house indicates older siblings and friend groups. Venus can indicate a sister, a wife as well, but a sister in combination with Mercury. So this person may have a conflict when it comes to adulting in comparison to their siblings, and this is coming from past lives. Maybe this is what happened in past life. Perhaps a conflict with a sibling now is coming from a past life dynamic where the sibling did not appreciate the Mercury and Virgo expression, self-expression. They did not appreciate how they were viewing the world and thinking about the world. Mercury retrograde indicates that, yeah, this person um, will have to learn that things cannot always be perfect and just be a bit more appreciative of what they have already in the world. Venus ruling Virgo, you look at Venus, Venus is in Leo, in the ninth house. So this is about the pride of education. And Mercury retrograde in the 11th, this person may have some issues if they don't get a higher education. Their pride and ego may suffer because perhaps in a past life, that was the only thing they were loved for, their knowledge and how they shared their knowledge with people. So now they may feel like they're being used for their knowledge. With Virgo and Pisces, and because Mercury is in Virgo, they may feel like they're being used or they're being enslaved in some way to help people benefit from their wisdom and knowledge. So they may be a bit hesitant to share it. And you have to look at the ruler of the planet to see even more overlays of this past life. So yeah, in a past life, probably this person overshared themselves. They exchanged ideas that maybe got them in trouble or people judged them for that. People maybe judged their mind because they were very opinionated. And with Venus ruling Mercury, love and their views, their worldly views and their ideas were connected. So people either loved them or hated them um, for what they believed in. So yeah, you could be literally looking at a scientist who tried to produce something practical, but it wasn't benefiting what Venus is in Leo. It wasn't benefiting politicians. It wasn't benefiting a political picture. So they were judged, shushed, um, ignored. Nobody saw their idea. So they may be hesitant in this lifetime to exchange ideas so confidently as they used to do. Now, again, this is just one placement. You have to take the whole chart in consideration, because now I'm looking at the moon and the sun in this 11th house, but also the north node. So, ego, emotions, and out of comfort zone experiences have to do with a past life of sharing ideas, sharing highly intellectual ideas about how to make things practical. So again, maybe this person was like, okay, this is how we can be more resourceful with the money or the food that our country has. They might have been a politician or some sort of public figure that had authority over resources and how to be practical, or the health system of the country. But yeah, because the sun and the moon and the north node are here, maybe this person did not communicate in the right way, and they were not appreciated. So yeah, with Venus in the ninth, they're learning how to master the art of charming people so that people don't immediately push away their ideas. So this is how you look at the whole chart. And again, at first you may be a bit rigid with the interpretation, so you have to take time. But basically, at some point, you will see this is the past life, and this is what how it manifests now. So let's continue. Now that I explained the decans, we're going to repeat the same thing, the same exercise. And again, I'm using this chart just to take you with me through this systematic way of doing things. But I hope it will become much more fluid after you do it a lot of times, or after you get to know your chart on a deeper level. Now, the next retrograde planet is Saturn, where Saturn in the fifth house, in the sign of Aries. Okay, now we do the same thing. So, Saturn in the fifth house. This is a restriction around children, creativity, um, playfulness, hobbies, leisure, relaxation, um, gambling, a lot of things. The fifth house, each house is a lot of things, but I'm trying to simplify things. So over here, so yeah, we have Saturn. So this is restricting those the qualities of that house. You the individual in past lives really discipline themselves by not allowing themselves to have these things. Where is Saturn? Saturn is in Aries. Aries is the baby of the zodiac, but it's also a soldier. Aries is yeah, it's a warrior. It's about survival. It rules the root. It rules the head. In astrology, each zodiac sign rules a body, part of the body. But in chakras, Aries is about survival. Sagittarius as well. So it's the root chakra. See, I moved my mic. I hope nothing happened. So yeah, with this Saturn and Aries, this person restricted play and happiness and exploration, experimentation with creativity and all that because they didn't have the luxury to allow themselves to be this way. They had to survive. With Aries, they had to survive, they had to be a leader, they had to be responsible for themselves from an early age because fifth house, this is again children, our inner child. So this person has they had to grow up from a young age when they were younger, um or in past lives because we're looking at past lives. So yeah, when they were incarnated in their previous lives, they had to discipline themselves, restrict themselves. Perhaps they wanted children, they couldn't have children, or they didn't take good care of their children because they were so preoccupied with self preservation and survival that in this lifetime, this person may not have kids. They may have issues with kids. They may not like kids. Or they just may not be fertile to be able to have kids. I also see the South Node here. Now, Saturn and the South Node closely they move together most of the time. They're closely positioned in a natal chart most of the time, at least um, for my generation and those born in the years around me, around my year. But yeah, so yeah, Saturn in the fifth would indicate this. Um, and now again, you have it. Now we applied the sign, the house, and the planet being the actions we take, we restrict ourselves, right? We discipline ourselves. Now we look at the degrees. It is in the sign of Aries, 5 degrees. Now this is the first decan of Aries. which means this is first decan of Aries is Aries. So we look at the ruling planet of Aries. This is Mars, which means that Mars is the ruler of Saturn. I hope you get that by now, like that formula. You take a sign in the first decan of the sign, the first 10 degrees of the sign, always start with that sign you look at. So if I look at Leo, the first decan of Leo would be Leo. If I look at Sagittarius, it would be Sagittarius. So yeah, the first 10 degrees of Aries are Aries, and the ruler planet is Mars. And then I look where Mars is. Mars again is in the ninth house. So the retrograde Mercury and the retrograde Saturn, which are actually in opposition, yep, they are ruled by planets which are placed in the same house. Mars is in Leo as well, Venus is in Leo as well, and Mars and Venus are conjuncting. Okay, so you can pull a lot of interpretations from this position. But let's first look at Mars ruling Saturn. This is an extra confirmation that this person was part of some sort of group of soldiers, or they had to survive, they had to fight. With the ninth house, perhaps they had to travel and leave the country, maybe abandon their children or abandon the things they loved the most, abandon their childhood home when they were probably very young, and leave for another country to save themselves. Or maybe they had very restrictive parents in a past life that only cared about the child's survival. So when I look at this natal chart, there are so many things about how do I survive? How do I make it? And this can even explain the Mercury in the 11th house in Virgo, because perhaps this person had one ideology about things. After all, Virgo is an earth sign. And when they moved to this other country, their ideology, their thinking, their ways of thinking were not appreciated. They were not embraced. So yeah, you look at Mars and Venus and Leo in the ninth house. Um, I'm almost getting a vibe of a rich family going bankrupt and having to leave the country and having to survive. So when you look at the degrees and the ruling planets of the retrograde planets in the natal chart, it's nice to also look at the aspects, because you see how now I just noticed, oh wait, Saturn and Mercury are in opposition. They are communicating. So you can tell how in a past life, this person with Mercury opposing Saturn um, in the 11th and the 5th, placed in the 11th and the 5th, Mercury is the mind detaching itself from the tough Saturnian lessons and experiences in childhood. So this person blocked their memories when they were a child. They blocked them. They don't want to see them because it hurts and their um, ego around what they know and who they know themselves to be, and all of these things. So, yeah, you definitely, after you look at all of your retrograde planets, you look at the aspects they make. So you get the rulers of your retro planets, you see where they're located, you blend all of these details. Um, and it's nice to do this bit by bit, until you get really comfortable with it. And then at some point, you look at the aspects they make with other planets, so you can see how, um, if two retrograde planets aspect each other, you see the dynamic in the past lives. If a retrograde planet aspects a normal planet in your natal chart, then you can see how this past life issue manifests in this lifetime. So yeah, let's again take Saturn for example and look at I don't know, it's actually trining Mars, which is the ruler, and it's trining Venus. So this restriction in pleasure and playfulness and inner child can affect the sexuality of this person because Venus and Mars in the natal chart are conjunct. Saturn trines both of them. So if this person allows a relationship can be very healing to this restriction and this tendency to hold back because they always feel like they need to survive. But traveling, meeting people from different cultures, meeting confident people with the ninth house and the planets placed in Leo, meeting Leo, actually, Mars and Venus are in Leo, and Leo is the traditional ruling sign of the fifth house, where Saturn is located in Aries. So it's like there is this dynamic going on where a relationship, Venus and Mars conjunct, intimacy, coming together with a partner intimately, or forming this strong, deep, intense, passionate bond. Mars and Venus conjunct, it's about passion. This is where the person is very passionate. It's in the ninth house. They're very passionate about learning. So this passion for learning can help them let a new person, someone with new, fresh perspectives and ideologies, come and open them up and break down their walls and show them that things are not just about survival. Let's have an adventure. Venus and Mars conjunct in Leo and the ninth is a personification. Like you combine these entities and you have a personification of someone who will come and teach the Saturn in the fifth in Aries, that is retrograde, to have fun. Like have fun, and you will see how much more easy life is, how much easier life is. So yeah, a partner here will teach this person how to have fun. Travel will help them have fun as well. And yeah, you do this to all of your planets. You look at the retrograde planets, the house, the sign, you take your time to blend them. Sometimes you will have a house in a very with the planet in a very weird sign and you wonder how do these blend. So then you do extra research on what certain signs mean, what the houses represent, what the planets represent, and the bigger your idea about each element of the chart is, the bigger your idea about these elements is, the better your interpretation would be. So yeah, take time to read each placement, house, sign, planet, what does it do? What does it do? How does it do it with the sign? Where does it do it with the house? And then degrees, which decan? What is the ruling planet of this planet? And you look where that ruling planet is located. Okay. Now, you do this to all of your retrograde planets. Then you look at the aspects. Aspects with other retrograde planets represent the past life dynamic. Aspects with normal, regular planets represent how the past life manifests in this incarnation. Good. Now, after you do this, the other thing you want to look at is your moon, your south and north node, especially your south node. The south node, um, the south and the north node are lunar nodes. They're not actual celestial bodies, they're mathematical equations, and I believe this is the ecliptic where the sun and the moon meet. Um, but yeah, so basically, you look at these and they're called lunar nodes because they're made out of a combination between the sun and the moon coming together. So you look at those, these are very important, especially the South Node. The South Node represents your past lives, your past life karma, your past life talents, your comfort zone, everything you've mastered, but also everything that drags you down and keeps you stuck and stagnant. And the North Node is where you're headed. Actually, the lunar nodes are also dragon nodes because the North Node is the head of the dragon. It's where we see the future, where we think, where we are headed. And the south node is the tail of the dragon, what we already know, what we're used to, what is our comfort zone, but there is no growth in there. You don't really develop your mind with the south node, you see. You already have it. It's something like your subconscious, everything you've accumulated in your subconscious mind. Um, so you look at your south node. Here we have the south node in the fifth house, close to Saturn, in conjunction. Yes, it is in conjunction, 2 degrees or conjunction between Saturn and the node. So the south node looks like this. Like a horseshoe. Um, this is the south node. It's an Aries, 7 degrees. Again, what is it? First decan of Aries, ruler of the south node, Mars. So we're going to be looking at Mars again, and it is in the fifth house. So this indicates again very similar interpretation to Saturn. It indicates that this person in their past lives, the difference here, hold on, the difference between the retrograde planets, and the nodes is that the south node shows you um, an accumulation of experiences over many lifetimes. I'm sorry, I had to make a quick pause. So the south node in the fifth house in Aries, again, similar to Saturn, however, because it's an accumulation over many lifetimes, you see some talents coming from the south node as well. So actually this person can naturally be creative, but Saturn is creating this wrong philosophy about things. Saturn usually would give you kind of like a broken view or broken philosophy that makes you rigid with the signs and the house's qualities. So this person maybe was an artist because, I'm looking at the chart. That's why you have to take a general look at the chart before you look for your past lives. Look at your qualities of the chart and qualities of different planets. For example, we have Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune in the third, opposing Venus and Mars in the ninth. Maybe this person didn't finish school in past lives. Maybe they became an artist, but they didn't make money out of this. Maybe that's why they died. Maybe that's why now they feel like they have to survive. Maybe that's why now they want to do something practical with their intellect, and it's super important for them to get an education and for the world to recognize them. They have MC, the midheaven in Leo. That's why you need the whole chart. Okay, I'm giving you a system or formulas and all that to kind of organize yourselves, but you have to learn to be fluid with the chart if you really want to get it. If you really want to understand the dynamics, because just reading each placement separately on Google can be helpful, but if you don't blend all of it together, if you don't see what energies outweigh others and what energies dominate or are dominated by other energies, you will not be able to draw a full picture of past lives and even your current life teams. So the south node in the fifth house, although Saturn is here and this person restricted their creativity, maybe they also feel like, because the south node, this person had many lifetimes where they were creative and they had children, but it is an Aries, so this person maybe had children before they were ready, before they could actually raise a kid. They weren't ready to do that. And they weren't good parents, basically. They were selfish. They weren't evolved enough to have children. Or their art wasn't evolved enough to go sell it or show it to someone. And they did, and they were criticized or judged. And this created this Saturnian energy of, I'm never gonna have a kid again. I don't want I don't want flings and romantic relationships. Sun in the 11th, leave me alone. Leave me alone. Moon in the 11th, leave me alone. Um South Node in Aries, I'm better off on my own. I can take care of myself. I don't need a family. I don't need creativity. I don't need adventures and experimentations. But deep down, they crave it. They desire this. They desire harmony. Sorry, harmony and coming together with other people. But yeah, they restrict themselves because of trauma. So you look at your South Node, you look at the house and the sign. Again, you look at the degrees. What is the ruling planet? Mars. This person, again, is all about survival and armoring themselves, protecting themselves. They may have some, you know, past life stuff triggered by a boyfriend or their son because Mars is influencing a placement in Aries. So Mars can be the sun in a natal chart of a mother or a father. It can be the boyfriend of a female as well. So yeah, karma will be past life karma will be triggered by the South Node and Mars ruling the South Node. Now the South Node, what aspects does it make? After you determine the house, the sign, the degrees, and the ruler, the ruling planet, you look at the aspects. So that is it. That is the system. Planet, what actions, house, where do I take the actions, sign, how do I take the actions, degrees, the decan, what is the ruler planet that connects to this placement, how does it influence, what other teams does it bring into the picture, and then what aspect does the placement I'm looking at making to other celestial bodies. Now, Saturn is making a lot of aspects to the personal planets, by the way, which again, when we talk about the personal planets, we talk about the ego. So that was a very personal issue that manifested the Saturn in the fifth house. In fact, Saturn is making a lot of aspects to a lot of things in the chart. The outer planets too. Pluto, North and South Node, Uranus. So I would say that this person incarnated in a generation where people will generally have similar issues, or they will incarnate in a soul group. The people around them will struggle with the same things so that they can see their issue from another perspective. They can become very aware of it. When Saturn makes a lot of placements to the personal and the generational planets at the same time. So yeah, not only Saturn, but now we look at the South Node. So you look at the South Node. The South Node is not making that many aspects. I mean, kind of. It's trining Venus, which shows that the love for studies will help this person develop talents from past lives that they didn't work on. Squaring Jupiter, yeah, they won't have it easy because they actually have to put in the work. South Node is ruled by Mars, so they will have to actually put in the work. Mars is about getting to work. Um, they will have to put the work in order to master the South Node in the fifth. Again, these restricted talents from past lives. The South Node is also conjuncting Saturn. We already talked about that. It's also trining the mid heaven. So yeah, this person will be working on a public image that is loved and appreciated by people so that they can heal past lives issues and also to develop the potential and talents. And basically you do this thing to all of your retrograde planets, to the south node. You can do it to the north node as well because this shows you where you're headed and how you're healing your past life stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So planet, retrograde planets first, the sign, the house, blend those. The decan, the ruling planet. Apply that as well, overlay the meanings, and then aspects it makes to first other retrograde planets. So this is the past life dynamic. Aspects it makes to regular planets, this is how the past life manifests and connects to this incarnation. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, what else should you look at for your past life picture? Well, the moon, you can look at the moon and see what instincts you've developed or you have um, accumulated from previous incarnation. Because the moon is the ruling planet of the fourth house, and the fourth house is again about our past, our roots, our ancestors. But with the moon, I usually would say, because the moon, as I explained in the full moon in Leo video, the moon is how the soul translates its higher consciousness on the earthly plane. So this is how you choose your mother, and this is how you choose the most appropriate genetics, and environment and everything else that can help you translate your soul on the earthly plane. It's the fourth house. So the moon can show you past lives, but more so it shows you what your higher self needed as a vessel and what environment it needed in order to feel comfortable and to be alive and just move on earth and fulfill a purpose. So the moon is not so much about past lives, it's more about, yeah, this is what makes most sense for me now based on my evolution. And it's gonna be a bit difficult or a bit tricky to look at the moon and see your past lives. Why? Because it would be like the moon is based on the evolution of many lifetimes of the soul. And it's like, this is how far I came, and this is how I will best translate myself on the earthly plane. But it's a very general thing. It doesn't give you a lot of ground to cover and a lot of detail to cover, and to understand your past lives with a detailed picture. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend using the moon. The moon can give you like a general sense you have based on past lives. For example, the moon in Virgo, the general sense is that your soul throughout many incarnations and a lot of its evolution, it realized that it translates itself best through serving other people. Like that is the ultimate, deepest emotional urge to incarnate. That is the ultimate urge that drives this soul to come on earth at all. Mm, so yeah, that's why the moon is not necessarily about concrete, specific past lives. It's more like a general how you translate yourself on earth. Now, you can look at the moon. What else do you look at? You look at your 12th house for sure. I'm gonna make a list and it's gonna be in the PDF. The 12th house were the cusp of the 12th house, meaning this line right here that indicates the 12th house right before the ascendant, this line indicates it falls in Libra. You look at the sign it falls in, and the sign it falls in, each country in the world is ruled by different zodiac signs. So the sign it falls in can show you the countries you've been to, which is super cool. I would also like to look at the ruler of the sign. Here, the ruler of Libra is Venus, and Venus is in Leo. So it can show you kind of what class you were in that country, what social status did you have. But not only that, you look at the decan again. So you have the cusp, right? And the ruler of the 12th house here is the ruler of Libra, Venus. But you look at the decan, this is the 12th house falls. You can look at the degrees of the house. The house is here, right here down here under the list. So the 12th house is 9 degrees Libra. Is that correct? Let me count. Yes, that is correct. 9 degrees Libra. So this is Libra, Libra, so double Venus. So yeah, Venus is the only ruler or influencer over the 12th house. And again, you can think how this is not just about the countries. Like, you can check the list and, you know, kind of get a sense of who you were in those countries, your social status and everything. But with Venus, this is about art and creativity and beauty and love and everything that opposes the tough placements in Virgo and Aries and the Martian influence in the chart from past lives. So the 12th house, this person subconsciously is seeking rescue in the field of art, beauty, peace, harmony, and love. This is what this person needs at the deepest level. But the 12th house also shows you what you need to let go of. And I wouldn't think necessarily that the sign and the planets ruling the house are what you need to let go of. I actually think that this is how you heal the house. This is how you enter the house through these influences, through the sign of Libra, through the planet of Venus and what they represent. You enter the 12th house. You enter the field of healing and letting go, right? Because the 12th house is about undoing, self undoing, cleansing, deep, deep, deep cleansing. What do we have in the house is what you need to let go of. We have Chiron. So yeah, this person, it's very possible that they don't know where their pain is coming from. They don't understand it. And they don't understand that. I feel like they try to push away the exact things that would heal this person, but also Chiron in the 12th. I feel like this person is they will unconsciously attract events that will push them into healing. So this is a really beautiful chart. The more I look at this chart, this is like nobody's chart. Maybe someone, but it's randomly generated. So I feel like I'm vibing with this person here, although I don't know this person. Anyways, so yeah, it's a very beautiful placement. Because although they don't know it, they don't understand their pain, they will let go of it because they manifest events that will trigger healing. So you look at your 12th house to see where you've been and what you need to let go from past lives. Then you want to look at the water signs where you have water signs in your chart. So Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, and Virgo. Virgo is the opposite of Pisces, 12th house Pisces. Virgo is the 6th. I wouldn't recommend necessarily looking at the 6th house because the 6th house is really just how you live your life here on earth, but it's not necessarily how you let go of your past lives, you see. But Virgo is, because that is the difference between the houses and the signs. The houses of the 6th house, the house of Virgo, can show you purification and things like that, but it's not necessarily about the past lives. However, Virgo, where the sign is located, will show you what you're purging from previous incarnations, what you were releasing. So the 12th is what you need to let go of. And wherever Virgo is placed is what you are willingly letting go of, because Virgo is very realistic. Wherever you have Virgo, you see that I'm gonna get rid of that. I'm so ready. This is what you are ready to remove from your previous incarnations. Now, because we discussed the 12th house, let's discuss Virgo first and then the water signs. So, Virgo here is in the 11th house. You have the sun, the moon, the Mercury in Virgo in the 11th house. Look at that, the whole stellium. You see? In Virgo. So, this person needs to release an identity they adopted in order to fit into their community, in order to serve their community and to be practical and useful to their community. They need to let go of this because when they overdo it, whether it's ego or over service, they hurt themselves and they lose a sense of who they are and a sense of purpose. And I'm telling you right now, when you look at your natal chart, you will see a lot of paradoxes. You will see a lot of opposing energies or contradictory stuff. That is because we are here to find balance. Because when we get comfortable with one energy, we may overindulge in it, and then it becomes an issue. And then we need to go back in the opposite energy and to constantly juggle to find the balance. So this person needs to purge the idea of a perfect society. Oof, yes, that's it. Not even the idea of themselves being useful and practical and whatever, but you know what? That's why you need to spend time with the chart. Now I'm getting an epiphany about this one. With all of this Aries egoistical energy in the South Node and Saturn and everything, this person needs to purge. Virgo, the 11th house, society, 11th house society, the idea, Mercury, Moon, Sun, about a perfect society where they are loved and appreciated. This person needs to let go of these illusions or expectations, high expectations that they would be loved just for no reason, because there is a lot of frustration and challenge to the ego, you see, that they need to release. They're frustrated when people don't appreciate them, but that is an issue of their ego because the sun is here. So it's like this person needs to release agendas. It's like, yeah, you're helping people, but are you doing it just to receive love and appreciation? If that is the case, that is not unconditional love you give to people, so you cannot expect unconditional love given to you. And this person is learning that as long as they love people conditionally, they will be loved conditionally. As long as they help people conditionally, they can only receive help with an agenda behind it. So they need to let go of their own agendas and conditions, Virgo, 11th house, Sun, Moon, Mercury, if they want to achieve true connections and true peace and love and harmony with people. And yeah, to be unconditionally loved and appreciated by people. So this is how this paradox can be worked out. That's why you need to spend time with your chart and with the paradoxes in it, because you will definitely have them in order to kind of understand, oh, okay, so that's what I need to do, or that is why the energy is this way. So you look at your Virgo, whatever Virgo is in the chart, you look what house it operates in, and if you have any planets in Virgo, then with Virgo you will be releasing ego for sure. Especially if your sun is in Virgo, you will be releasing ego and you will be gaining confidence in your ability to be of service or to be a healer. Anyway, that was just a random note. So after we looked at Virgo, now we look at the water signs. Where do you have Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces? Why Cancer? Because it rules the fourth house, it rules your ancestral trauma and maybe past life patterns from your ancestors, from your mother's lineage. Here we have the ninth house in Cancer, so this person will have they will inherit ancestral patterns and how they study and how they get their higher education. They may repeat or walk in the same steps as the ancestors from their mother's lineage. And they also have deeply engraved memories about higher education and higher studies in other cultures. I feel like with Cancer in the ninth, they learned to adapt to a different culture, ninth house, to make a home in a different country in a past life. So this person is good at that. Now, Scorpio, where do you transform? The rising is almost on the cusp between Libra and Scorpio, but Scorpio, the second house also falls into Scorpio, um, but predominantly the first house is within the degrees of Scorpio. So the first house has some asteroids, but without them it would be empty. And then you have the second in Scorpio. So yeah, where you have Scorpio in the chart is where you transform, where you let go, where you let go of things in a way that you don't necessarily fully let them go, but you transform the behavior. So first and second, this is about perhaps self-worth again. The person is transforming this tendency to associate their worth with their money, or to associate um, beauty and just like confidence to express themselves at all and to be part of this world with their social class and status. Then you look at Pisces. The fifth house falls into Pisces. So again, children and creativity, that's something that this person sacrificed in past lives. And that is something that they will have to sacrifice. And this, with Pisces, it's where you're learning unconditional love in order to heal. It's where you learn forgiveness and letting go of grudges. So this person within the fifth house, they have deep inner child healing to do. So yeah, you want to look at Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. These will also indicate themes from previous incarnations, and especially if you have planets in those signs and houses. Again, these planets have a certain influence from previous incarnations, and you may have memories actually about the themes of these planets and houses in the signs of Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces. What else? So as of now, that's it. Like retrograde planets, South Node, 12th house, Virgo, water signs. This is what you look at in your natal chart. And some of you may say, but that is almost my entire chart. Yes, but you approach it with the intention to dig into past lives. If you approach your natal chart with the intention to find what types of relationships you have, you're gonna get a completely different read of the chart. Because, yeah, it depends on what question you ask. I also have 78 cards in a tarot deck, but depending on the questions, I read them completely differently. So, what else? What else? I think I'm missing on something. I wanted to share something else. Oh, yes. Okay. So, that's not exactly what I wanted to share, but it's another cool thing. Now, with the decans, with the calculations of degrees and all that, you can look how evolved a person is, or how close they are to closing out a cycle, an evolutionary cycle, or how close they are to, are they did they just begin a new cycle? So again, that is not about the soul is older or younger, because a soul can be very old, but if it starts a new lesson, they would look like a newbie, right? So you get all of these, for example, I don't know, star seeds, but and they are ancient evolved souls, but if they don't know how to communicate, you may think this person doesn't know very basic stuff about communication with other people. Do they lack emotional intelligence or intelligence? Like, what is going on? You may think that they're a newbie, so don't judge a person by the natal chart. And usually that judgment about new souls and old souls, it's really outdated, because if you put it in a different concept, or if you look at it from different perspective, no soul is old or young. We're just learning different things at different evolutionary stages. You cannot compare a musician with a scientist and vice versa, and see how far one has come and how far the other has come, because they're completely different. They're exploring different fields. So, but it's cool to see your own evolution through the natal chart, at least for the current lessons you're mastering. What you do is, again, you have these three decans, right? 0 to 10 degrees, 11 to 20, and 21 to 30. 0 to 10 degrees any planet in any sign, any planet in any sign placed from 0 to 10 degrees is manifesting in the plane ruled by Mars. Now, don't look at Mars in your natal chart. This is not like a ruling planet. It's a plane of manifestation. It's a level of consciousness of the planet. Okay, so Mars is not the ruler. We're not calculating rulers. We're looking at the evolutionary stage of the planet. From 0 to 10 degrees, the planet has evolved to the level of Mars and the physical body. So the effects and the consciousness of this planet are very materialistic oriented, very ego oriented, and they take place on the material plane, they take place in the body. This person deeply associates themselves with these qualities. Even though if they're not true, because with Mars, these are underdeveloped qualities, the person associates them with those qualities because they're closest to the level of ego. Okay, so for example, let's say if we have, yeah, oh, we do have a lot of planets like that here. So we have Venus, 6 degrees Leo. This is from 0 to 10 degrees, and it's ruled by Mars. So Leo Venus, this is a very unevolved Leo and Venus. Okay, they may not be able to portray the good qualities of a Venus Leo. They may be too prideful. They may associate their physical belongings with self-worth and their ego and all that. They really take care of their appearance because it's super important for them. Now, if Venus and Leo was like, I don't know, 27 degrees, this person knows how to give love, true love. They know how to uplift people, to energize people, to empower people, to hold warmth in their heart space for people, because Leo rules the heart. But there are different levels of expression. So the first decan or 0 to 10 degrees of any planet in any sign shows you that the planet has reached an evolutionary stage of Mars. It associates a lot with the ego, a lot with the physical plane of existence, and everything about physicality and survival. Now, from 11 to 20 degrees, the second decan of any planet in any sign is the level of consciousness of Mercury. Now, this planet, it is in the midst of evolution. The consciousness is almost there. We're very mental about the qualities about this planet and its aspects and its qualities. We're mental, we're emotional, we're self-aware about it. We still associate it with our ego, but we see the spiritual lessons in it as well. So we're working with this planet on this higher level of consciousness. It manifests in the mental body, it can manifest as an aura, it can even manifest as you receive downloads from your spirit guides on these topics. You talk about these topics with your friends. You're not feeling threatened to express the qualities and the areas of life this planet rules, because the planet is on the level of Mercury, so you want to exchange ideas about it, you communicate about it. So for example, we have um hmm, well, this person is very dualistic, but let's take, okay, we have an asteroid. You may not have planets on the mercurial level, or the Martian level. It's gonna be different for all of you, but you probably have something, at least one placement. Now, Chiron here is on the mercurial level. This is the mental body. It manifests in the mental body. So Chiron, the pain of this person. Now, this person, because it's in the 12th house, they may not understand their pain, but because it's ruled by, not ruled, but it's on the mental plane, um, this person has the ability to awaken to their pain through communication, through words, through reading psychology and being self-aware and things of that nature. I mean, they don't, they have already been working with their pain. So even though Chiron is in the 12th in Libra, um, they have already been working on their pain. So they're almost there. Okay, they're in the midst of it. Another thing about Mercury is that people will see their pain based on how they talk. Or people will notice the aspect of a certain planet on the mercurial level when they get to know you a bit, when they talk to you. But basically, the evolution of Mercury is in the middle. So, yeah, this person is working on it, you know, it's not completely abandoned. So, this gives a much better perspective on things in the 12th house that are halfway there. This is good. This is actually really good. Now, the third decan is from 21 to 30 degrees. Any planet in any sign from 21 to 30 degrees, this is the plane of Saturn and Jupiter. This is the spiritual plane. This is your higher self. These are qualities that your higher self has mastery over, and you're almost closing out the cycle of this team. So, for example, if you have any planet like, yeah, here we have Mercury, 29 degrees of Virgo. This is beautiful. The moon is 25 degrees. The sun is 20 degrees, 52 minutes. We're gonna take it. So the sun, Mercury, and moon are highly evolved in degrees. They're on the spiritual plane of level of consciousness. They're on the level of consciousness of Saturn, karma, but also deep wisdom through hard work, and Jupiter, deep wisdom in general. That is, Jupiter is the solar consciousness, or almost like the sun type of planet. It's a gas giant. So this plane is very spiritual. This is where your higher self has evolved the most. So you are releasing these planets and the themes that they are covering. So this person is closing out a huge cycle in the 11th house in their relationship with their community. They're a very evolved moon in Virgo. So, you know, in this lifetime, they may not be as judgy. They may have deep attention to detail and deep emotional intelligence and attention to detail within their community. They know exactly what people need to be nurtured and healed. Virgo, heal, service. Sun, same thing. Um, they know this person knows exactly who they need to be to fulfill their purpose. Then Mercury, they know what to study. Although it's retrograde, yeah, maybe there will be a bit of a slowdown. They're still learning how to communicate, but they know exactly what information is needed. So, you know, it's a nice placement. It's a good placement. It's a good energy here. So that's how you take everything in consideration when you look at the natal chart. Because some people say, I don't relate to my natal chart, or I read this person's natal chart and they're nothing like it. You look at the evolution of their qualities. Venus in Leo, 3 degrees, is completely different than Venus in Leo, 25 degrees. And this applies to all planets in all placements. You can even look at the degrees of the houses. I mean, it's a bit difficult, you know, to have a house, all houses in later degrees, but still, for example, the rising is 29 degrees Libra. This person has mastered diplomacy. So, next on their evolutionary scale would be Scorpio. So, in the future incarnations, they could be Scorpio rising so that they can realize what they want to share and what they want to keep to themselves, because they've been sharing by now a lot of things with Libra being there. Or how with Scorpio they would be learning how to, I don't know, be themselves, be more authentic, be truthful, and not give a shit about people's opinion, be unapologetically shocking, transformative, dive deeper. With Libra, they mastered, you know, communication with everyone, but did they communicate with themselves? next stage of evolution would be the first degrees of Scorpio, and you would see this person learning to communicate with themselves to reach their personal depth. So, yeah, the planets in later degrees are evolved in the themes of the signs and houses. But you can see how in future incarnation, they may have the next sign in the first degrees, so they would be a bit underdeveloped, but they still carry the wisdom from the evolutionary scale prior to that. So now you go back to the first decan. You go back at planets that are on the mercurial level, and especially planets that are around 2, 3 to 5 degrees. These planets, they are newbies, but they carry a lot of wisdom from the previous sign. So, first degrees, Venus in Leo, they may be a bit superficial in love. They may care about themselves and they may want to be showered with love and stuff, but they may love deeply their mom, or they would be great moms or fathers, or they would treat their wife greatly because they have mastered the highest quality of Cancer, how to nurture. So they may love children. They're just learning about, you know, okay, who am I? Because after Cancer, the house and nurturing and all that comes Leo, and Leo is like, okay, how do I take care of myself? How do I please myself after I pleased my family? And then later degrees Leo, you have all of the wisdom of the previous signs before Leo and Leo on top, overlaying that wisdom. So this is the evolution we go through, okay? But that's how you can look at a chart and see if, for example, if you have a lot of planets in the first degrees, you're at the beginning of your cycle of learning these topics and these themes in life. So you can feel pretty fresh to this planet, okay, pretty new. If you have a lot of planets um, that are at the latest degrees, meaning from 21 to 30, you may feel like you're closing out the cycle. This is your last lifetime. You want to quit. You're tired. You've been learning so much. You've mastered so much. It's time for you to go. But that is because you're simply starting a new chapter in next incarnations. So yeah, that's how you look at your chart. You can also see you can play around with how much you have of each element. Do you have a lot of fire, a lot of air, a lot of earth? This is how you know what you need and what you're gifted with. So if you're lacking water, you need emotions, you need love, you need intuition. If you have a lot of fire, you're gifted with passion and motivation, drive, and you can share this with people. Like if you have a lot of one element, you can share this because you have tons of it. You can share it with people. People would really benefit from you sharing that element with them. So yeah, that's it. And that's how you look at your natal chart to read your past lives. I hope you guys got something out of this video. I hope it wasn't too confusing. And I also hope the PDF with the worksheets I'm preparing for you will help you navigate this system. And again, if you don't get it at the beginning, it's normal. There are so many overlays. There is so much blending you have to do with the natal chart to fully get it on a deep, deep level. So allow yourself some time, explore it one placement at a time, um, and just use a system that works for you. Like if you want to blend it all at the beginning, do that. Maybe you guys are channeling, maybe you're very intuitive with the chart. But if that is not the case, I really suggest take a couple of placements, study them in depth, then see other placements. If there are contradictions, you know, remove anything that is being contradicted, remove it from the picture, get rid of it, and take a look at the picture again, take a look at the chart again, and just do this again and again and again until you reach an understanding. So that's it, you guys. I hope you resonated. I hope you enjoyed this type of content. I will be improving the quality of the videos and the audio and the way I present such sort of content, where I kind of try to share a way to study or a way to do certain things. I will find a way to make this more practical and more comprehensive for you, so that it's easier to look at as a representation of what I'm explaining. But as of now, those are the means I'm working with, those are the tools I'm working with. Anyways, I hope they're still sufficient enough so that you get the point of the video. And let me know if you experimented, if you discovered something new about yourselves. And yeah, I hope to see you soon in my next pick a card or whatever video I put out. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I'm very, very grateful to have you all on my channel, being open to me experimenting with the content I create and like sharing other new territories with you, exploring new territories with you. Don't get me wrong, I'm not an astrologist. I'm still learning. I have so much to learn and I'm still um polishing my skills, but I will leave all of my resources in the description, in the PDF files. You will see how I do it in a very clean, crisp way. So stay tuned for that. Check it out, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.